Hey y'all, it's Taryn. It is Saturday, July 27th. Welcome. I'm going to try to see if I can make Saturday my recording day because obviously Sunday is not working for me to get videos out every couple of weeks like I would like. It's been 4 weeks again. So we're going to give this a try. Ryan brings his parents over to visit with me on Sundays, and so I get preoccupied and don't get around to doing a video. Anyway, I've done stitching. Our life has been the same kind of stupid that it usually is. I can't say anything more for it than that. Dax has Kirsten out there right now teaching her how to change the oil in her own car. He's kind of making her change it, so we'll see how that goes. He says she's not happy, but oh well. All right, let's get on to stitching. I have some. I had lost this, and I don't think I've shown it before, but I do have the finish for Jacob's Father's Day gift. Yes, I'm this much too late because, like I said, I lost it and couldn't find it. I found it this morning quite by accident. I knocked something over and this fell out. So, oh well, good for me, right? When I originally started it with the brown, I was just going across, and I decided that because he's looking down, it would be stupid if his hair went across this way on his head. So I restarted it and did it just at an angle to kind of match how his head was going. Anyway, I got that done. And I have, it's stuck. I have an FFO. I know. I never do that. But it took me a while to decide how I wanted this to be done. And when the idea finally hit me, I took care of it. So anyway, here it is for Ryan's birth sampler. And it may not be straight in there. It looks like it isn't here on the camera, but I don't care, it's done. And this was this is just a board that I bought at Hobby Lobby, and I put the piece, it's just on mat board. I glued a thin layer of batting on it and rounded the corners and everything. It is laced on the back, but then that is all just glued onto here with hot glue. Look, I see some hanging from the top. I made a huge mess with the hot glue. Burned the living daylights out of me because I was using the hot glue because I wanted it to stay. Anyway, I put a couple of layers of jute around and then just ran it through that concho and kind of shredded the jute. And then this hook is on here because she bought him a little cowboy hat for his 6-month picture, so now he can hang his cowboy hat over there too. Anyway, I was thrilled with the way it came out, and his cowboy hat will look so cute on there. But so, yay, an FFO. I need to do a lot more of those. All right. So, other stitching. I finished my August Joyful World stitch along. This is forever. Did these come out like in 2020? We'll look and see if it has a date on here. Ooh, it's even older than that. It looks like I printed this out in 2017. Hmm. These are free on the Snowflower Diary blog. And there's obviously one for each month. They're adorable. I'm trying to get them all done. We'll see. We'll see. August is almost here, so I need to get that one FFO, and I'm hanging them up at the office. So fingers crossed that I'll get that done. Again, not my strong suit. So since I saw you last time, I had to go to the doctor, and they girl problems that stems from when I was pregnant. It's rearing its ugly head again, and so I had to go to the doctor. And she told me my blood pressure was high because when I was there it was, I don't know, 175 over something. But it's kind of like, well, you're poking and prodding around and causing me a lot of pain, and I was already in pain when I came in, so I would expect it to be a little elevated since you're irritating me. But anyway, so they do all that, and you know how they do. If you go to the doctor and something hurts, they push on it more to see why. And so I was in a probably not the best mood, and got home later that evening after work and sat down in the closet. The pants I had on had a narrow cuff, you know, and so I sat down on the floor to take them off instead of trying to balance. And a scorpion stung me on the butt. And I don't mean out on the fleshy part of my cheeks. I mean, if he had stung me about that far over at a little bit of an angle, he would have stung my girl bits. And I was not happy about that. I was already not happy about the day, but that just made it worse, y'all. And then it was bad enough how it felt. And Dax and Abigail had been out doing a daddy-daughter day, and I texted him, and because the last time I got stung, I had an allergic reaction. So I texted him and said, I'm taking Benadryl, so I won't see y'all when y'all get home, you know, that I got stung. And then when I later told him where, he's like, oh my God. And then like a couple of days later, the really bad part was it started itching as it was healing. Oh my God, y'all. You can't walk around in public scratching that itch. I was putting alcohol in it one morning when I was getting dressed, and he was like, that is not the look. It's just no. I do not wish that on anyone. It was awful. I'll tell you that. Out of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, this is May, June of 86. That's what it looks like on the front. I am doing all three of these cats' quilts and baskets. This time I worked on this Nantucket. His face is no joke. No joke. But I don't remember if I'd already done his face the last time that I showed y'all, but I diligently worked to get his face finished. And it's on the pattern that is a whole bunch of quarter stitches or fractional stitches. They may be half stitches. I don't know. I picked colors close and I just filled it in because that I was getting lost, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that cat's face filled in. So, and now I've put in some other colors on the quilt and stuff like that. Things I didn't have to count too terribly far to get to. I would put that basket down here, but I've got other stuff down here, so that won't work. I worked on Prairie Schooler, and I'm doing the rabbit this time. I've already done this, clovers. I'm doing the rabbit this time, and I am doing it on gingham fabric, taupe Murano, 32 count. I'm doing it over 2. It's artiste fabric from Hobby Lobby. That's the only reason I know, because the bag is in here. The package it came in. That's the only reason I know any of that information. Anyway, here is where we are. Last time I had part of this in, I believe, I had the green down here. I had part of this stem and part of the rabbits. I dropped my pattern. Y'all, I'm struggling. That's his front feet right there. And when I came in to put this leaf in right here, I realized that I was off. So I had to tear out what I already had in and stitch it back in. But at least I got farther ahead. I got more done than that. So that was good. This is out of a Cross Stitch Christmas magazine. Cross Stitch Christmas. I don't see a year. I just have the pages out of the magazine. I got them off of eBay or something like that. So I don't have the whole magazine, but this is called Sing a Song, a Christmas Piece, or oh my goodness gracious, Sing of Christmas Piece. That's what I'm calling it, quite frankly. I don't know if that's really what it's called or not. Yes, Sing of Christmas Piece. It's actually on the pattern. You know, I have issues with just naming patterns whatever I want them to be named. Anyway, I don't have any of the charms or any of that kind of stuff, but I also don't have a very big start. So there's that. Let's see. I have a package for it too. This is a 28 count even weave MCG Textiles. I don't see a color on here at all. That's the tag. I'm sorry. That's what it looks like, but I don't see a color on here at all. You can see what I paid for it at the thrift store. Things are falling. Anyway, tiny little start. And speaking of starts, I called a meeting with myself and I have made an executive decision. I don't have any more room to put my new starts. I have this tub full of things that I want to start. But my 2 big tubs, and which I keep my Year Whips, those 20 pieces, in their own little basket. So my 2 giant tubs are full, and I'm having trouble squeezing new stuff into them. So I'm going to keep starting my quilts at the beginning of the month, but I'm going to go from starting something new every week to, I haven't quite decided if I'm going to decide that I need to finish 2 things, or if I finish one, I can start one. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. But I'm running out of room. That's what it really boils down to. Okay. I worked on, this is another one where I only have the magazine pages. Sorry. If I only had the magazine, it wouldn't be an issue, right? It's from Cross Stitch Gold, but I don't know when. It doesn't say down here when that was from. Anyway, it's these little birdhouses. They did it on a pillow. I'm doing them all separately. And so this time I was working on this one, which is one that I had already started before. And I've just got a little piece of white scrap Ada that it's probably 18 count, I'm not sure, that it's working on. I have put this dark blue along the edge here and the hole to go into the birdhouse in here 3 times. I put it in. I thought I was wrong, so I pulled it out and moved it down and put it in again and realized that it was right the first time. So I pulled that out and I put a little bit back in. But then I think I went up here and started doing something different because I'm a little bit irritated by it. Just a little bit, but now that I've got it pulled back out and things are in the right place, hopefully, I'll get over it. I'll get over it eventually. You know, I've told y'all that I've been trying to make bread. Well, the kids were coming over for 4th of July and they wanted a hot dog, so I was going to make hot dog buns, which I've never done before. And I had been talking to my mom while the dough was rising, and I told her, yeah, I was going to give making hot dog buns a try. And she was like, oh, you'll have to let me know how they turn out. So I texted her after I made the first tray of them. I have to show you. And I said, well, they taste fine, but this first tray, I've apparently made a tray of bread penises. And do y'all see that? Do you see those hot dog buns? I'm sorry, they weren't blue, but yeah, I took those out of the oven and Dax was like, because he heard me and I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, what? No, I made a tray of bread penises. And he's like, of course you did. The others turned out better. They did. My mom wrote back and she's like, well, yeah, I can see the resemblance. Guys, it's always fun here. Out of Cross Stitcher January 2018 magazine. Again, I just have the page, but these are like little button covers, and I'm going to put them on I'm going to cover the buttons with them, but I've got some big snowflakes that I'm going to put them in the middle of. These might be the kids' Christmas ornaments. I'm like Flosstube presents now. Christmas ornaments for next year. I already had Santa done, and this time I did the penguin. He's holding a present like a balloon. How cute is that? I'm trying to think. Yes, I got him finished. Yes, that's his little wing holding up the present like a balloon. So look, I've got a head start on next year. I haven't finished this year's, but that's okay too. I also worked on the cows. This one's out of my list of 20. I don't think any of those other ones were. I don't remember what we've looked at so far, but this one's on my list of 20. And I'm doing this one. And y'all, I've gotten the brown over on this side done. Put in his little hoof hanging out of his jacket sleeve there. And so I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go work on this brown, because I've been working on brown forever, or if I'm going to start working on the overalls. I don't know. And in the pattern, all of this does not get, sorry, I don't know what you can see. The white on here is not filled in, but I think on them like their faces and her dress, I'm going to fill in the white. In the background stuff, I don't mind if it's not filled in, but I want them to look more complete, you know. I guess that's what I think it'll help with. I worked on my Graveyard Halloween from Stony Creek. This is where it is. As you can see, I have very close margin. I don't know what I was thinking, but this time I worked on this. The other side of this is on a different page. So I'm working on this time. I think I was like down here last time, so I'm bringing that up. The that tombstone, and it'll have a big raven on top of it. And I need to go get something for the moon because I like the way that looks. I want the fancy floss for that, so I'm gonna have to get that at some point. And this is stitched on a 14 count Ada from DMC. It's Charles Craft and Grasshopper. That's the name of that one. Because again, I happen to have the little thing in there. Mirabilia. What is this one called? Santa's Magic. I was like Santa's Miracles. No, that's all right. Santa's Magic. I'm sorry. So here that is again. Santa's Magic. And here is where I'm at. This, I took the pattern and made a copy of like the page out in the middle. It's a big fold out pattern. I think, let me see. This time I'm filling in a lot in here and everything. And I think that I've come down. Oh, I know I put in another. I know I put in more whisper down in here, just like another length of it, so that I'm not doing all of that all at the same time, but just kind of still just filling in different places, because I'm doing this 2/2. I think it's a mushroom Lugana. It's got a. I thought it still had it. I had the little sticker for it for a minute. I don't see it now. Anyway, I don't like to get very far off. I like to only count a few if I'm going to have to count. I'm not brave enough to count very far over. Anyway, this on my list of 20. Fat chance. Maybe if I only worked on it for the rest of the year. And we all know that's not going to happen. So I worked on this Leisure Arts Paula Vaughn Sunlight and Silhouettes. Didn't get a terrible lot done. I only worked on it for a few minutes on a Sunday. I think when I started it, I had this color in right here, that brown right there. So I've added some of the other stuff around it. This is starting the bed frame. Yes. For the bed that's right here. So, you know I love Paula Vaughn. It's no secret. I worked on this Bent Creek April Glows. I think that I'm going to just put in April, and I'm going to leave the close part off. Maybe I'll center the April or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this is where I'm at. I'm using, I think I just grabbed threads. I don't think I'm using any of the called for, but I'm doing the umbrella with the Mad X Stitcher floss that's got blues and greens in it. I'm kind of fussy starting it so that it is all going the same kind of direction from the green down. But I don't think she dyes floss anymore. I am also doing, and worked on a little bit, March blows. And again, because I'm not, I feel like if I was displaying these all together, it would be fine. But since I won't be, March blows just seems like, why do you hate March so much? So I'm going to switch this one too to just say March. Anyway, I'm only this far, so I've got time. My poor little weather vane rooster is not looking, he needs crown. He really does. He's not looking too hot. Speaking of Paula Vaughn, I worked on friendship quilts. Again, this is on my list of 20. Again, fat chance. But I do love it. I do love it. As you can see, I'm putting in down at the porch, but this time I actually did some of the back stitching on the quilt. I'm trying to, you know, put in some stuff and then do my back stitching. I had the mistake in here where I had that in 2 strands instead of 1. And so I had pulled all of that out, and now I'm getting it put back in. So I only have that much to get filled in and everything. But I did some of that and some of the back stitching. It makes such a difference. It makes such a difference. So I love it. I didn't want to quit working on it, but you know, I have a million other things also going on. So I worked on this pattern. I'm certain I got it on Etsy. I was looking for anything that might be kind of a name. Anna. It says cross stitch pattern design. I don't know if that's like the store name. Oh, it's not going to focus, is it? Anyway, this is what I'm working on. Because you won't be able to tell from this. I came down, put in some more rows of blue. This is as wide as the page is. I don't know how many pages it has, but this first page, I'm probably like getting close to being halfway through. There's some blue that's up here that's a color that I don't have in anything. I looked in other things I've got kitted up, other projects I've got going that have, you know, like a million colors of floss, and I don't have that one. So there will be some to put in up here, but it's going to be solid. I've got everything else filled in, and there's only a little bit more on this page. So I filled in this cloud and more blue rows. So it goes pretty quick. I like it when the pages are in big print like that, so that it makes it easy to get a page finished. I mean, not that I have one. In theory, it should be easy. I worked on educated and didn't get a ton done. I think before I only had like stitches right here from when I started it. So I finished that book, got going on the next book, and then had to go to work. And quite honestly, I would get more done if I didn't piddle around so much in the mornings. Or didn't hit my snooze. That's also an issue. Out of Your Welcome, I'm doing the flag. I'm not doing it correctly because I was doing full stitches and found out too far into it that part of it's supposed to be, the background is supposed to be half stitches and only the word is supposed to be complete full stitches. And yeah, I wouldn't taken out all of that background that I already had stitched when I realized what I'd done wrong. Anyway, I'm just like picking a color and kind of just going with it a little bit. So I got the E finished up, and you can see where the M is going to come in. This one's really easy. The pattern's really tiny, so I made a copy, and made it bigger to be able to read, but it's a pretty easy pattern to follow. And I like that. I see this one, but I don't know what I did with it. Well, I'd show you this one, but I don't. I don't know where it is. Did it fall? Maybe this is it. Maybe it fell. Oh, yay. It is. It is it. Okay. Out of Just Cross Stitch, December 2017. It looks like this. I am doing this card. I'm not doing the big Afghan. I'm just doing a little card. This is where we are. I realized when I was working on it this time that on these parts of the car here, it calls for 2 different light effects numbers. And I don't have them, so I just picked some colors and kept going. That's me getting brave. Getting brave in my old age, y'all. I'm not generally a just pick colors and go, but I was working on it and I didn't want to not work on it because of that, so I just decided to keep going. Out of Just Cross Stitch, April 2018, I'm doing this one here on the cover. And this is where we are. This is being done on some 18 count fabric that I dyed myself with about a half a bottle of red wine. So there we are. I have got the rabbit all stitched in, and as you can see, I've started to backstitch. I've backstitched this flower. I put in that little chubby bee. How freaking cute is that bee? Come on. He's so fat and round. I love it. And I started on one of the birds up here. There's another bird that goes up here, and a bee and stuff that'll go in front of him. So I've got those 2 birds and that other bee in the back stitching to get, I mean, that's what's left on this one. Again, when we were having the meeting, I made the executive decision. I am not going to backstitch these leaves and stems and stuff. I'm going to backstitch the flowers in the rabbit because it makes them stand out so much and everything. But on these, I felt like it kind of takes away from them. And I like the way they look right there. So that's what I'm going to do with that. I worked on my Days of Gold, and this is from Cross Stitch, September 2016, Cross Stitcher magazine. And I am doing this on a 28 count gray mist. You know it because it's stapled on there. And here is where we are. This time I did a whole bunch of stitching that doesn't, here if I turn it that way you can kind of see it. Did a whole bunch of stitching that doesn't show up really. A lot of invisible stitching. I finished the roof up here, started on the house, did the door and the little porch, I guess, that's started around it. And I put in, started over there too. I'm just kind of all over the place, I guess. Anyway, this on my list of 20 things that I won't get done this year. That's what it should be. My list of 20 things that are not going to happen. And lastly, out of the Paula Vaughn Quilts for All Seasons book, I started July. I am starting these quilts on the first Sunday of each month. And here's the July quilt. Can you see that? I just love that. Okay, I love Paula Vaughn. I love quilts. Why wouldn't I love that? Anyway, I got that much done. Obviously in the middle. I think I've started all of these in the middle because none of them are like, you know, really squared off, and then that way it just makes me feel better. I know what month each one is because I write it in pencil on the top. Let's see. For me, that's a pretty good amount for a start, to say the least. And then, because I am the way I am, I have had, all right, like I said, I love quilts. I would love to sit and quilt. But every time I come out here, I don't really have a good space to cut out quilt stuff because cats. There's nothing out here that's a good height, you know, for cutting. And then if I want to sew, I have to move all my cross stitch stuff out of the way to get to the sewing machine. And so then I get distracted by cross stitching and I never get anything done. And I don't know, probably 6 months ago at least, I ordered stuff for English paper piecing, and I've just let it sit here and sit here and sit here. And so I finally watched some YouTube videos on English paper piecing and hexies, and I found some people who make it very complicated, or at least that's how I felt. And I found some people who didn't make it complicated. So I tried the not complicated route. I decided to see if that would work for me. Sorry, but I'm knocking things off again. I have my stuff in this little lunchbox that was part of a quilt kit, and I've got it's small, like lap quilt wall hanging kind of thing, and I've got that part made. I don't know, here's one of the places where I get stuck all the time. I don't know how I want it backed. I don't know what I want it backed with, but anyway. So, sorry, I'm just going to be making a whole lot of noise. Got everything in here, my cute little bag. Um, and I was trying to separate them out kind of in color categories, you know. Got reds, and I just did these the other day. I'm just using, I have a bunch, I mean a bunch of fabric, like jelly roll sizes, and here's some blues, I think. There's some that are darker and some that are like this. This is just one thing I have of things that were cut into strips, because it was something where I bought a big bag that had a whole bunch of fabric in it from Goodwill or something like that. And these are perfect for these. You can see these are just glued on here. I haven't stitched them yet. I just grabbed some of the pieces and I put a bunch of these on here. One of the ladies that I watched was talking about, if you have a spool of thread and it's getting really low, and so you're not going to use it to actually sew with, these are perfect, which is what I'm using, right? She's like, use up your old thread because you're just basting. And then I watched another lady that showed how she does it, and she doesn't put any knots in her basting, which also saves time. So I like that too. I bought a wool pressing mat, and I bought the most stinking adorable iron. It's about this big and it's red and it is so cute. But I sit in bed and do these, and I put that little pressing mat on my nightstand and that little tiny iron, and it's perfect. I love it. Now, I bought this starter kit on Amazon that I think it came with, I don't know, a few hundred hexes. There's 100 in each one, so 300 hexie, and they're nice. They're not paper. They're a little softer than cardstock. You know, they're a lighter cardstock, not a thick one. But it came with that. It came with pins, a roll of pins to put on it, and it came with a package of needles, a little thing of needles. I don't know what they thought people were going to be sewing. Like, did you think that people are doing these hexies with pieces of rug? Do you see that needle? And they're huge. Do you see? I mean, if I can hold it up like this and you can see through the eye of that needle, it is huge. I was like, okay, we won't be using any of those for that. I'm not quite sure what I will ever use needles that big for, but poison darts, I don't know. I don't know, but they're huge. But I've been obsessed. I've been obsessed with making these, and I'm so excited that now I can use up. I hate to get rid of stuff when I sew things. I'm always like, well, don't get rid of that. You could use it for something. You could use it for something. And now I actually finally am. I have no idea what I'm going to make with these hexies, but I can sit in, the lighting in our room is not good enough for cross stitching, but it is good enough to sit there and make those hexies. Now, I've had to stop for, I don't know, it's probably been over a week since I've made any, because I've been out here. I've been stitching, and then I go do other stuff and working on the computer at the office, and then coming home and making hexies at night. has got the tendons in my hand. I especially have trouble with this one. Um, but it's also been bothering me up through here. So I've been having to sleep. I know I should wear it all the time, but I don't want to because then I can't do the things I want to do. But I've been sleeping with the brace on it, the wrist brace. And I haven't been making the hexies for a couple of weeks. So hopefully it'll be getting better. But I get the tingly in my fingers. Anyway, so yay, another obsession. Just what I needed, right? What else has been going on around here? Our car is in the shop. We, for daily use, have a Ford Explorer that we drive, and it is in the shop. The water pump is going out, and I think this one's a 2015. I'm not sure. Whatever year model it is, the water pump is internal to the engine, and if it actually goes out and dumps water, it'll run your engine, and it requires special tools, and you have to take off the valve covers, and you have to lift the end. You got to take off the motor mounts and lift the engine up to get to it, and all of these things. It's not a do-at-home job, so it is in the shop. They said they need a week to 10 days to get it done, and a lot of money. It's where our son-in-law Jacob works. So it's a lot of money even with the discounted rate. But I don't want to replace the engine. So we're driving our old Suburban, and we get in and head to the office, and Dax has turned on the air conditioner, and it's before when we realized what was going wrong with the car and the trouble that it would cause, we quit driving it, and he was getting quotes, and we stopped at a place that was recommended here in Wimberley, and he was went in to get a quote. On the way there, he turns on the air conditioner, and it'll only blow on high. The fan won't adjust. And so we get to the shop, and I say, I'll just sit in the car. And I rolled the window down. I said, you can turn it off. It's fine. And he went in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, the air's not coming out, but I can still hear the blower blowing. So I start the car again, and I turn it off. It's still blowing. I pull the key out. It's still blowing. So we came back home, unhooked the battery, waited, long enough for things to stop and reset. As soon as he got it close to hooking the battery back up, it started blowing again. So then I'm getting the book out, and I'm looking through, and I'm like, okay, let's try pulling fuses. And I'm like, okay, this fuse says it's for the AC. We pull it out, nothing. Next fuse, we pull it out, nothing. It's like, okay, let's go to the different things. Okay, under the hood, this fuse says it's for a blower. So we pull it out, and it finally quit blowing, because we're like, if it just doesn't blow, then it's going to drain the battery. And so he had to order a new part, and he fixed that. But while we were waiting for the part to come in, we had to drive around in a black Suburban with sunny weather and 100 degrees. So it was lovely. It was lovely. Abigail came home for a week. Then we told her, you either have to go back to Houston today, or you have to just stay here, because a hurricane was coming in. And so she went back, and it came into Houston, and she lives with my parents. They were out of power. After a few days, she's like, I'm going to come back home. And she's very upset because her grandparents wouldn't come with her. Dax's parents didn't have any power. They lived probably 15 miles from my parents. They didn't have any power. They wouldn't come with her. She was very upset that her grandparents wouldn't come with her. I tried to tell her my parents have lived their entire lives within 50 miles of the coastline on the Gulf of Mexico in Texas. They've been through lots of these. They know what they're getting into. I think all in all, they were about 10 days without power. But she didn't go back until my mom texted and was like, the power's on. And then she texted and she's like, well, the AC's not working. So she waited another day. But then they got the AC fixed and everything's all good. My mom said it made her sick having to throw away all of the food from their refrigerator and deep freeze. Maybe I should have sent her some penis rolls. Some bread penises. What else? I was looking out in the backyard one day and there was this hawk out there. He was standing in the yard and he was huge. He was probably about somewhere between 2 and 3 feet tall. He was big. And I was standing there just watching him and I saw him bend down and grab something and throw it up in the air and just swallow it whole, you know. And I'm like, oh, it's probably a mouse. Well, then he stayed there a few more minutes and then he flew off. And when I was watching him fly off, I saw the belly of a snake. And from where I was, probably, I don't know, 5-10 yards. I don't know how far it is back there. Because they were in the backyard and towards the back of the backyard. But I looked over there and when I was watching the hawk, I could see the belly of a snake. And I thought, I wonder if that was part of that snake. So I was going to go out there and look. And then I was like, well, maybe that snake's not dead. So I came back in the house and got a gun just in case. And I started back out there again. And when I opened the door to go out into the yard and started out there, I realized the hawk was sitting on the fence. I'm pretty sure he was watching that snake, but he flew away when I went out there. And I got about halfway out there and the snake was coming out of, there's a pile of brush that's out there to be burned. And about 10 feet away from it is a stack of firewood. And he was coming from that pile of brush to that he was going the direction of the stack of firewood. And he was about halfway across. And I couldn't see the end of him. He was long and he was about this big around. I don't even know what kind of snake he was. I think he was playing dead, and that's why I could see his belly because of the hawk. But he saw me coming, and he turned and went back into the burn pile. And so I told Dax that, yeah, I'm not going back out there. I am not a snake person. I am not going back out there. But I figured he was probably after the mouse, but the hawk got it first, and then the hawk was probably going to be after him, but I interrupted it. So anyway, that was big fun. Big fun. There's always, last Sunday we were sitting out on the porch and Dax was smoking his pipe and Wyatt had brought a cigar and they were out there smoking. And I was out there talking to Abigail on the phone and we looked out in the yard and the front and there was an armadillo just doing his little thing, looking for grub. So it's always interesting out here. What else since the last time I've seen you? That's the problem when it's been so long. Oh, our dog Cuddles did cross the Rainbow Bridge. The kids had gone to a concert And Dax and I went and were babysitting for Ryan while they were at the concert. And that dog waited until we got home. It was probably 1 o'clock in the morning or so, 1:30. I don't know. Our neighbors have to worry about us if they ever see us because we were out there with flashlights burying that dog. It was time. She's like a 15-year-old husky mix, which is long. That's pretty old for the breed standards these days. And she was just kind of wasting away. And she'd gotten to where she wasn't eating. We knew it was coming. But it was time. This is the first time in the 31 years that Dax and I have been together that we have not had at least one dog. Oh, we still have 6 cats. We are not pet free, but it is the first time that we haven't had a dog. I don't know how long it's been since I myself have been without a dog, because I already had a dog when Dax and I met. So that's a new adjustment. We're not looking for another one. These animals, these dogs, the last 4, 5 have been pretty rough, dealing with their old age and all of that brings. And so for now, we're just down to cats. I think that's all I have. I'm sure I've forgotten things because that's how I do, but nothing earth-shattering, so it's all good. I am hoping that in 2 weeks I can come back again on a Saturday and record. What does Saturday look like in 2 weeks? Saturday the 10th? Yeah, that should be pretty easy. On the 2nd, Dax and I have date night. I've made reservations at Fogo de Chao because I love that place in San Antonio, so we're going to go there. And then a couple of weeks after that, Dax bought tickets to Def Leppard, Journey. Oh, I know I'd forget his name. Steve Miller? Maybe it's Steve Miller, that are going to be in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. So we're going to go do that in a couple of weeks. I've had to promise not to fight with anyone. So there is that. And before I forget, as of the end of June, I have touched 100 out of the 150 whips that I started the year with. I still haven't counted my whips, so I don't know how many I actually have. In June, I touched 15 different ones, and I ended June with $94.02 in the positive on my Stitch from Stash, because I really haven't been buying that much. That's where we are right now. Who knows if it'll stay that way, but for now, I've been pretty good. I seem to go that way. I'll have a really good year, and then I'll have a year where I buy everything and don't finish anything, and so we're just all over the place. Okay, I think that's it. Hopefully, I'll see you in a couple more weeks, and thank you everyone for subscribing, for your likes, for your comments. I appreciate it. I think I answered all of them from the last time. If you did make a comment and I didn't answer it, it's because I didn't see it. Do it again. Okay, I think that's all for real. Thanks, y'all. Bye.